I'm going to share with you how to create content that doesn't sound like the same recycled garbage that everybody else is putting out right now. In fact, I was talking to this health coach the other day who is pretty successful. I mean, she's doing about $17,000 a month, but she's very limited. In like 1 month, she gets like tons of leads, she's booking calls, and then the next month, it's like freaking a ghost town. And she's really struggling. She's trying to run ads top of funnel. She's posting lots of content. She is getting followers. She is getting people in her DMs, but she's finding she's having like a really challenging time with quality of leads. And it's causing a lot of ups and downs in her business in terms of booking calls and revenue. And I find this is pretty common, especially in the coaching space. And so I'm going to share with you what has worked extremely well for me in terms of like how to actually get dream clients to respond to your content, to, dare I say, throw money at you to where they're pretty much showing up pre-sold, ready to pay because your content does the heavy lifting. In fact, this is a writer downer. This is something I learned a few years ago from a mentor. He said, the stronger your content, the easier the sales. The weaker your content, the harder the sales. And I found that to be true in my own life. And so here's what you want to start to look at when creating stronger marketing, stronger content, so that it does the heavy lifting for you and it makes it a lot, quote unquote, easier to get clients coming into your DMs ready to show up and pay. Firstly, you got to understand, and I'm sure you do, but information is a commodity right now. And there's just a lot of people that they haven't evolved to this AI era that we're in. I mean, the two most important things that in my opinion, that we're going into right now is you've got to be able to put out great media, AKA great content, and you've got to be able to leverage AI as a tool, which is a video for another day. But coming on the media side, the purpose of this video, content, is people can find content within seconds and people can create content within seconds. And so it's not just about blasting and putting out content. That was like if you're a rookie and you have no idea what you're doing and you literally are trying to find your voice, sure, blast out content, do all that stuff. But like once you've been in the game for a minute and you're really trying to figure out like how do I actually get more consistency and predictability when it comes to getting clients, this is what matters. And so the first step, if you want to get more ideal clients coming in, is you've got to evolve your messaging. You got to refine your messaging. And for example, the health coach that I was just alluding to, much like many health coaches right now, she's in a pretty crowded marketplace, which is okay. But she was talking very generically to the people that she's trying to serve. In fact, she's built her messaging around a whole niche. So she's helping kind of midlife women lose weight, get fit, blah, blah, blah. And her messaging is a little bit more concise. It was more concise than that, but it's still pretty generic in terms of like, there's a lot of women that would consider themselves midlife. You know what I mean? And so it's still a pretty big marketplace. And her messaging was speaking to that. So it's very generic. And so she was attracting a lot of people that just weren't ideal clients. And so the first thing we did is we got her messaging dialed in. So I have a whole framework, I have a process that I teach people. It's called magic messaging. And I call it magic messaging because I had a client years ago say, what is this wordy magic that you had me do? Because she started getting all these dream clients coming in. And so I thought it was fun. And so we called it magic messaging. And it's a lot about three things. The first thing is, what is your ideal client struggle story? So I want you to pause for a second and I want you to think about who that dream client is. So when you evolve your messaging, it needs to be around a person. This is how we start to create more of a sub niche. And you don't pick a sub niche by picking a demographic. It's not like you got to drill deeper to like, I only help moms who have one leg and 5 kids. It's like, that's not what we're trying to do. You're carving your own sub niche around a problem. Right. And so the first way to be able to do this is you've got to know the specific symptoms that your ideal client's experiencing. You got to know their exact symptoms, their pain points, and you want to get specific here. The more specific and concrete you can get, the more effective your marketing is going to become. In fact, there's a famous marketer named Jay Abraham who says, if you can articulate the problem better than they can, they'll automatically think that you have the solution. And so it's really imperative that you do this because it's going to make your content so much more powerful. And in the same regard, you want to know the beliefs that they're thinking. Like, what are these common thoughts and beliefs that they think are keeping them stuck? Maybe it's their genetics if you're in the weight loss space. Maybe they think they need to do a certain amount of cardio or diet, whatever. There's going to be a variety of things that your dream client believes. So again, don't think about the niche here. I want you to think about one specific human being, like a real human, not like one of these like Google Doc avatar forms that you fill out and stay in your drive. I'm talking about like a real actual human, like words that they are saying, things that they are actually believing. And then what are the problems that they're trying to solve right now? Like, what are they actually doing? Not like the generic stuff, like they're dieting. Nobody freaking thinks they're dieting most of the time, right? They're like, I'm eating healthy. What are they specifically doing in your niche with your dream client? So when you can kind of get this down, I call it the struggle story. And the more specific you can get, the better. And then that's the first phase of evolving your messaging. The second phase is going to be creating a big idea. Back in the day, and this is still what it's called in a marketing term, is a unique mechanism. But we're living in this kind of time frame right now to where in marketing terms, it's called the levels of market sophistication, to where like level 1, for example, would be like when something's new is introduced to the marketplace. And so like in terms of like online coaching, like imagine in training, when online training and online coaching first became a thing, it was just like this new to the marketplace, let's go. That's not where we're at right now, right? Level 2 is like you're basically adding a promise. So it's like in the weight loss space, it might be, hey, I'll help you lose 20 pounds in 90 days with online training. You didn't have to be super specific. You can get away with being general. We're long gone from there. And then level 3 is like you add a unique mechanism. So when I grew my fitness business, it was I'll help you lose 30 pounds in 90 days with my stubborn fat solution. You see what I'm saying? We're far beyond those days too, but most people are still living there. So it's about evolving the messaging to having a big kind of polarizing idea that you're bringing to the marketplace. And so this is what the health coach I'm talking about, this is what I helped her design for hers. And it's all for her specifically, it was around the metabolism and hormones and stuff. We created a whole big idea around how what they're doing right now is actually making things worse, because it is. And we had this polarizing, unique, big idea that we brought to the marketplace. So what we're doing is we're actually bringing this worldview, this kind of unique perspective to people. And that instantly makes you as a brand, as a coach, stand out amongst a sea of people that are spouting the same freaking message. And then thirdly, when it comes to evolving the messaging, it's about getting really, really clear on the two things here, on the specific dream outcome, as Hermosi would say. You want to get really, really clear on what that dream outcome is, but it's more than that. It's being able to tell your story or a client story about how they went from point A, like the struggle story that we talked about, to point B using this big idea, this unique mechanism, this solution, if you will. When you can do this effectively and you can embed storytelling into your messaging and create more of a narrative approach, at least for me, I found that it's massively helpful. This is what has allowed me, one of the things that's allowed me to be able to grow a very successful business doing over 7 figures with a very small audience, because I'm talking to the right people. And in fact, on this point, before we go on to number 2, when it comes to having the right message and putting it in front of the right people, there's a guy named Kevin Kelly. He wrote an article back, I think in the 90s, and it was geared more towards like artists and musicians, people that were selling their art or their music and they wanted to make a living off of it. He stated through research that if they had 1,000 true fans, they would be able to have a successful living doing what they love. And I would argue that that's more true now than it ever has been, but you don't even need 1,000 people. If you're selling like a mid-ticket or high-ticket coaching program, or even if you're selling something low-ticket, you don't need that many people. So if we take that 1,000 true fans idea and we make sure that we're putting the right message in front of the right people, it's going to allow you, this is what has allowed me to create a wildly successful and profitable business without having to worry about like blowing money on like ads that are ineffective, attracting unqualified leads, trying to scale something with shitty ass clients. You're able to actually serve dream clients, have a small team. I literally have a team of just me and a VA and an AI agent. So we'll get into that. It's a whole nother video. And you could do that. Okay. And the concept here is like, having a megaphone versus a dog whistle, right? If you're like shouting on a megaphone in a really busy like street, and everybody's shouting on a megaphone, nobody's going to really turn around, right? But if you have a dog whistle, or you could be shouting on the megaphone, you get a lot of people to turn around, but it might be a lot of the wrong people. But if you have a dog whistle and you blow it, the only creatures are going to be dogs that are going to turn. And that's kind of what we're doing with messaging so that we get more of the right people in. So that's a really big piece I spent a little bit of time on, but it's so freaking important to nail down that messaging, especially when you're already in business, you're already getting leads, you're just getting a lot of unqualified people. This will instantly make your ads more profitable and make your content more profitable. It'll make your sales calls more profitable because you're getting more of the right people in. The second big piece here is going to be around content. So it's like actually having a content ecosystem versus just random post and pray type of stuff. And so content is both a masculine and a feminine approach. Just like anything. I don't know if I need to talk to you about the birds and the bees, but like I've got kids, and two people have to come together and you create something, a human. And so great. If you want to create sales and clients, you need both approaches. You need the creativeness of content and you need the masculine approach of like systems and structure and KPIs and stuff like that. And so when it comes to creating a great content ecosystem, I like to think about this kind of like the Bermuda Triangle is the principle here, whether the Bermuda Triangle is real or not. So I live in Florida, and I grew up kind of hearing these stories about the legends of the triangle, where the points between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, there's supposed to be this like magnetic, mysterious force that pulls in planes and boats and all sorts of things. And that's what a good content ecosystem does. When you actually establish, and you could do more than 3 points. In fact, Google has this study, they show that they call it the 7-11-4 formula, where an average consumer needs to consume 7 hours of content, 11 different touch points on 4 different mediums. So take that for what it's worth. I always, with a newer brand or even a company that's like, doing like mid 6 figures and are trying to scale, it's like we want to set up 3 points first. And this could be like their top of funnel, like their Instagram page or their Facebook profile or a Facebook group or something. And then, so I would consider that more of like a top of funnel piece because you can get new people in there constantly. And then you have more of like a relationship builder, middle of funnel. So like an email list is highly effective, done right. And then you have more of a long form channel that acts as, again, more middle of funnel, which would be like a YouTube channel or a podcast. I've had many clients use a podcast before. But the point is, it's not about just like doing more stuff. This is where a lot of people go wrong. And now they're burning out because they're trying to create content for all of these different things. It's about having like what I call like core conversion content and spreading it out. So it's actually less content, but it's creating more quality content. And you have like a good distribution process, really. And so wrong way to do it is try to like spread content on a million different platforms. You end up chasing a lot of rabbits. You're going to catch none. The smart way to do it is to create what I call core conversion content, which is all based on your messaging. And then you just want to distribute it strategically across these different platforms. So for example, every single week, I will record one YouTube video minimum. Every single month, I'm typically doing one workshop or masterclass, which is like usually a 90-minute. So right there, every month I have 4 YouTube videos minimum, and I have at least one 90-minute workshop or masterclass. That in itself becomes like core conversion content where I can then redistribute that content and I can create reels from it. I can leverage my AI agent to help me take the transcripts from that content and create written posts and emails and stuff like that. And it all comes directly from me for my transcripts. So when I have my AI agent trained on exactly how to like write this stuff, it's trained on like hundreds and hundreds of my posts and transcripts. So now I can distribute it and I'm literally putting barely any work in. All I'm doing is showing up, doing a video like this, doing a workshop a handful of times a month, and everything else is done. So it's like less content. You see what I'm saying? But you're distributing it into an effective system. And what a good content ecosystem is designed to do is 3 things. It's designed to be able to connect with the right people, aka your messaging is the DNA of it. Shift beliefs. When you shift the right beliefs, and by the way, if you go into the description of this video, you're going to see there's a workshop and a playbook that I created on the 8 core beliefs that if you intentionally shift within your marketing, you will get a lot more pre-sold people showing up in your DMs, ready to book calls with you, ready to essentially pay. So if you go through that and if you're interested in learning how to create more content like that, it's available to you. But you want to shift the right beliefs so that you get more people that are open to your ideas and working with you. And then, of course, you want to be able to build your list. So you want to constantly get people off of your top of funnel social media. You want to get people off of your YouTube channel. You want to get people onto that email list. And when you have the right call to actions on your email list, which I have a strategy, which I teach a lot of my clients to where in some cases they can double or even triple the amount of sales that they're getting, the amount of clients they're signing up, just because they're leveraging their email list in the right way. So that's the content ecosystem portion of it. And then kind of alluding to, so the third piece and the final piece here is going to be what I was talking about, doing some type of conversion event every single month. So the conversion event, I like to think about as a core piece of conversion content that you're doing monthly. And I have some clients, like I have a client now who has scaled from around like 40 to 50K per month to just over $230,000 per month. And pretty much what he's doing is bi-weekly workshops and masterclasses. And so it's a highly effective thing, but at least once a month, when you structure the masterclass to do 4 things, you want to be able to sell people on a new belief system, aka the beliefs in the description will set you up for success there. You want to sell people on a new identity. If people are kind of trapped in the struggle identity, we need to sell them on the aspirational identity. That's what's going to get people to move. We need to sell people on your big idea, your unique solution. And we need to sell people on social proof. They need to see that other people have gone before them and have gotten great results that are also like them. And when you can effectively do that in your workshops and in your masterclasses, versus what most people do is and I used to do this too, but they overteach. They're just like, blah, just like teaching stuff at people, and people leave these masterclasses, these workshops, these challenges, and they're like full, and they're like, oh, I'm just like overwhelmed, and I just got to implement. But that's not how you get clients, my friend. Like you need to be able to do what I just said, and you're giving people insights. People like Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson, a lot of these guys have echoed this. It's not about just feeding people information. It's about getting people the right insights and epiphanies they need to take the actions that you need to take, that you want them to take, and that they want to take. And that, my friend, is influence. So that's the big idea here, right? If you want to have content that's so good that people literally throw money at you, you need to have the right messaging so you're attracting the right people in. Simple way to say this is the right words in the right way to the right people. You want to have a content ecosystem so that way you can actually focus on like building trust with people faster, shifting people's beliefs so you pre-sell people, and then really providing a world where kind of like an oven or a microwave, people can cook, if you will, and you can nurture them. And then having a nice mechanism on the back end where you can show up, give people value, give people the right epiphanies, the right beliefs, and ultimately have an invite to get people either to book a call with you or to just straight up sign up for your program. So that's what's worked really well for me. I'm hoping that it's helpful to you. If you want to go deeper into how to create more belief shifting content, this is what I have in the description. There is a link where you can click. Basically, that link's going to take you to is a Google Doc that I have just kind of talking about like what the workshop's about. It's going to give you some kind of insight into some examples. If you want to go through that workshop on creating belief shifting content to pre-sell people, I have a full 50-page playbook that has plenty of examples and templates, things that I hope will help you. Go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, my friend, have an amazing day. Remember this, your message matters now more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. Be seen, be heard, and be impactful.